Hey, what's going on, fellas?
Hey,
Hey,
gentlemen.
brother, what's up?
What's up? What's up? Hey, this is Chasing Rings. Thank you for joining us on another episode. We are going to set aside the college football world for a little bit. We kind of wrap that up with a great show on G leading us through a great option for a potential improved playoff system, I guess is the best way to say it, and kind of put college football on the back burner for a couple of weeks for their opener. And we're going to get into the preview of the NFL. We're going to go division by division and start our division chase series as we break down each of the NFL divisions. Before we get into that, you know how we always have to do on Chasing Rings. We can't get started without.
Wait, what?
All right, big dude, start us off
Okay.
tonight.
All right. Well, I know we're going to be talking about the AFC East tonight, so I'll get right to it. Did you know in 1998 was the last time the AFC East sent four teams from its division, four teams to the playoffs? The Jets, the Dolphins, the Bills, and the Patriots all made the postseason, only leaving the former AFC East folks, Indianapolis Colts, who were in the AFC East at the time, on the outside looking in. So they sent four teams to the playoffs in 1998.
Wait, what?
Wow, that's
Yes, sir.
crazy. And I forgot that Indianapolis was in the East. Totally forgot about that.
Mhm.
What do you have tonight for us, G?
Well, I have another New York Jets one. Did you all know that the Jets is the only team that started pre-1995 that has not had a 4,000-yard passer in the 16-17 game
Wait,
era?
what?
You're kidding me.
Not one? Not one.
Guessing the last 4,000-yard passer was
Brett
Richard
Favre.
Todd?
Broadway Joe.
No.
What?
Well, not the 69 season. Please don't tell me that.
I can't remember the season.
Broadway Joe, man, come
Jets
on.
have been,
How
have
old is
been
Broadway
cracked
Joe
for
now?
minutes. What'd you say, big dude?
I said, how old is he now? My goodness.
Oh God, very
No
old.
wonder every year is a big year for the Jets fans.
I'm telling you.
Damn, I didn't know that. That's a heck of a stat to have, or not have in this case.
Yeah.
All right, my way up for tonight is, did you know that there is someone in the Pro Football Hall of Fame who never played a down in the NFL?
I saw that.
Wait, what?
Do you remember
player?
who it was, a big dude? Yep.
Nah, some old lineman or something. I don't remember
Yep.
who it is.
Buffalo Bills, Billy Shaw. He was a lineman, spent his entire 9-year career in the AFL from 1961 to 1969 with the Bills. He was a key blocker for one of your favorites, big dude, Cookie Gilchrist, and quarterback
Ooh.
Jack Kemp. He served as a captain for 6 years. He was the most valuable lineman. So pretty storied career during his time with the Bills in the AFL, but he's the only player that never played a down in the NFL.
That's a real good one.
Good one. That's a good one.
And I'm glad the linemen are getting some love out of that. I didn't know there was anything before Reggie McKenzie.
Yeah, right. All right, that'll do it for.
Wait, what?
All right, in terms of around the ring in news, a few items worth noting before we kick into our division chase. First of all, Russell Westbrook officially retired from the NBA after 18 seasons, leaving as the league's all-time triple-double leader with 209 triple-doubles. He was a 2017 MVP, 9-time All-Star, and really one of the most explosive guards of his generation. So congratulations to him on a great career. Would have loved to have seen that OKC team stay together to see where that could have gone, and certainly that would have changed the discussion that we'd probably be having post-career for all three of those, but especially Westbrook at this time. So congrats to him. In more NBA news, this Lakers ownership situation is not as clear-cut as it was when the story broke the other night. So everyone's probably heard by now that Josh Kushner and Bob Iger are set to purchase the Lakers for $12.5 billion. But one issue with this purchase is that Kushner is a current minority owner for the Miami Heat.
Hmm.
So he is going to have to relinquish his stake in the Heat if he wants to continue with this purchase agreement and become one of the owners of the Lakers. And of course, the deal still requires the NBA Board of Governors to approve the transaction, which will take place at the next meeting scheduled for September. Pretty crazy, right, G?
Yeah, how could you not know that
Yeah,
as an
Yeah.
owner?
So
How could you not know that?
yeah, just weird to me, and especially pretty accomplished business people. So you would think that a detail like that, which isn't a small detail, that they would have taken
Right,
care of before they entered a negotiation of this magnitude. But hey,
bro.
who
It's tough
knows,
being a
man?
fan right now, dog. I ain't gonna lie.
It is. It's been tough being a fan for a while, to be quite honest with you. When you have to keep going back to the 80s and 90s, man, it's been rough times for us.
It has been.
In another twist, moving to the NFL, our buddy Terrion Arnold, who all was arrested late June after felony robbery and kidnapping charges, he has signed with the Seattle Seahawks.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so remember the
Okay.
Lions released him after his arrest this
Right.
summer. So I don't know, maybe he and his team know something that we don't know. It looks pretty bad. I know from the outside looking in, but hey, they know what the deal is. So
Yeah,
hopefully for him,
they're not gonna lock him up like that if they don't know something.
hopefully for him, he is innocent of the charges and he can continue with his career. So we'll keep an eye on that. And this is kind of a weird tidbit. It's NFL related, but also college football related. Our buddy Jaden Daniels, man, the Commanders, like they don't have enough to deal with come season. So Jaden Daniels' attorney has informed LSU that they can no longer use his name, image, and likeness
what?
because they are allowing sophomore cornerback DJ Pickett to wear his number 5 jersey, which was the jersey that Daniels wore when he won the Heisman at LSU in 23.
Knock it off.
So the number hasn't been retired, of course. It's the first time a player has worn 5 since he left the program. But apparently Daniels' family, and this was a quote, is deeply disappointed and feels profoundly disrespected by LSU's decision to give Jaden's number to another player.
Hey, that's why at state we don't retire numbers.
Well, it's just weird to me because he doesn't come off as that type of person. And you sometimes have to wonder who's in the camp of these players, right? Because that's something that you're worried about right now. Like your season's getting ready to start,
Right.
and you're worried about who's wearing your old college number. Like, is that serious?
I don't get
I
some of
don't.
these people, man. I
It
don't.
just seems like energy misplaced, especially given the time of year. And this is a big year for him. I mean, he was injured almost all of last year, and this is a prove it year. Is he the player
Hmm.
that we saw during his rookie year? That got the Commanders to the NFC chip. That's what we want to see. And you're worried about
Right.
all this peripheral stuff. So we'll see what happens with that. But I figured I'd share that odd story with you all. Let's move into tonight's topic, the division chase. We'll begin that series as we cover all 8 divisions in the NFL. And tonight we are going to start with the AFC East and the AFC North. Probably what people would consider to be 2 of the more competitive divisions in the
Definitely.
AFC. We will start with my Buffalo Bills. For some reason, fellas, I am not nervous about the season. I'm not thinking a whole lot past week 1. I'm not having visions of grandeur in terms of Super Bowl parades. None of that stuff. We're taking it a week at a time right now.
Bro, you sound traumatized.
I'm beyond traumatized. But I mean,
Whoa.
obviously we would, like they've been really since Josh Allen has cemented himself as one of the premier players in the league. There again will be a contender. He'll be at the centerpiece, but We've seen the same story year after year with this team. They always find some way to snatch a loss from the jaws of victory.
I remember we were giving Josh a whole lot of grief. I just really went back and I'm like, okay, how are they losing these games? And, part of me is like, I can't really put that all on him because he was trying
Hmm.
to overcome the defense's ineptitudes, and they were forcing him to try to, either come from behind or so. There's a part of me understands why in those situations that he would just become a gunslinger and make some bad decisions. But I think it was more y'all
Hmm.
defense than him.
Absolutely, that's a
Yeah.
great
Well.
segue to where I'm going. I mean,
Okay.
so I'll turn it over to you, big dude, shortly, to continue your thought. That's exactly where I was going, G. It's like they've done almost everything that they could do offensively in these playoff games. He really only had two bad playoff games. They have James Cook, who won the rushing title last year, coming back. They got DJ Moore in the offseason to be their number one. They still have a
Mm-hmm.
solid receiving core to support that. The onus to me is going to fall on the defense, and I'll turn it over to you, big dude, to kind of start there. They have Jim Leonard as their new DC. I mean, for the Bills, is that the magic elixir? If this defense can live up to Leonard's reputation and what he's built, coming more recently from Denver, is that what gets them over the hump?
Yeah. Well, I mean, they got rid of Boza. They got rid of Epinosa. They were aging last year, and I think they needed to do that. I think now they're more youthful. They have speed, and then when you have somebody like Leonard, I think we talked about this last time, several shows ago, that Leonard is going to give an attacking style defense. They just have to get to the quarterback, and I think that'll be the key. And I know that they're going to be okay with their defense this year. They got their new defensive back. Ibn from Ohio State. And I think also on offense, the thing to remember, that's all I was going to say about Josh Allen. The thing that makes him special also, he does so well against the blitz. People are going to continue to try to blitz him, but it's going to be interesting to see the addition of DJ Moore. His presence will draw some different things again against the blitz and leave some different ways to bring out some new folks that they have. Like I keep hearing about this. The name that I keep hearing about in camp for the Bills is Skylar Bell. Everybody keeps saying you should see what difference he's made. They got him in the fourth round, got him in a
Mm-hmm.
great deal. I think DJ Moore is going to open up opportunities for them and to hopefully give Josh Allen less reasons to run and look for some of those opportunities that happen from that combination that's out there. So that's basically
Yeah.
what I wanted to say. I knew their defense would be younger and attacking, and I think that's one of the great things that the Bills do too. Not everybody that's an outstanding player from the Bills comes out of the first round. They seem to take the middle round guys also and get the most out of them. They've been doing that for years.
Mm.
So, big dude, you brought up the defense, and certainly IGB will be one of the impactful rookies to watch. But they did bring in some key vets: Bradley Chubb, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, and
Right.
Geno Stone, who is kind of probably a little bit underrated coming over from Cincinnati. We have a lot of new defensive players on this team and an entirely new defensive scheme. Do we think that that's enough? I mean, G, you mentioned about Josh having to kind of push themselves in situations where normally you might not have to because you're thinking I might not get the ball back or my defense might not stop anybody. Is it
Mm-hmm.
possible that this new defense can find its form and kind of get rid of some of that playoff inconsistency that we've seen? Because regular season they've been okay, kind of more bend not breaking, but that catches up with you and they break in the playoffs,
Right.
unfortunately. So with all of the additions and a lot of their draft picks, IGB, Caleb Elarms or Jason Kilgore, TJ Parker, all on the defensive side of the ball. So they
Mm-hmm.
definitely focused on that. Is it as simple as fixing that defense to
I
get them
think
to the
so.
next level?
I honestly think so, and it's for two reasons. I think that they're going to be successful. One, is just kind of probably how the coach is going to approach defense. He was a walk on at Wisconsin, I think, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
He was
Mm-hmm.
essentially a walk on into the league. He was undrafted, and then he got a full career out of it. So he approaches the game differently. I think he has a good understanding of the X's and O's, but he also has a good understanding of that mental side, and more importantly, adaptability. You can't be a
Mm-hmm.
walk on. You can't go undrafted and make it if you're not willing to adapt to what's in front of you. And I think that would not be surprised if we ever got some mic on him talking to the players and stuff like that. That adaptability is going to be a big part of his message in some way, shape, or form. And that's why
Mm-hmm.
I think that all of that is going to rub off on his team. And I think that's why he's been successful in the past. I
Mm-hmm.
go back to where I used to think that coaching wasn't as big of an impact on players, and I was totally wrong. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that he's going to have a positive impact. So the second thing is he's already been proven, like in Denver, and how well he had that defense playing. So the players, they're probably confident in him, and you're going to
Mm-hmm.
play differently when you're confident in your coach. So yeah, I think that they just pulled off something that's going to be exciting for you Bill fans. I'm not going to say yet how far I think they can go, but if I was a Bill fan, I would be excited this season.
Mm-hmm. I'm hopeful,
Yeah.
that's for sure. One X factor with them that we can't neglect before we move on. Joe Brady, first time coach, a lot of questions about is he the answer? You went away from McDermott, who was super respected in the league, in the locker room, but unfortunately, in his 9 years in Buffalo, it seemed like his coaching failed at inopportune times, I should say. Especially, and I can't help but go back to the Kansas City 13-second game. I'm never gonna forget how poorly that was played. I mean, it basically was what ended up being 3 or 4 plays in 13 seconds, including the
Yeah.
kickoff. You know what I'm saying? And that kickoff's got to be managed differently, and then you have to play defense differently. And that, to me, that does fall on McDermott. Is Joe Brady gonna be
Mhm.
enough? Can he hold up his end of the bargain?
Mhm.
That's the other X factor. I have more confidence in our defensive coordinator than I do our head coach.
Why is that?
Yeah.
I
Well,
mean,
I
because
understand.
as you know, McDermott
Proven.
probably pulled rank on some of those plays. I
He,
wouldn't be surprised that a lot of that wasn't your current coach's calls.
he definitely pulled rank, and I think he controlled the reins much more on the offense than he should have.
Hmm.
And so I think Brady is going to the offense. I'm not really worried about. I think you're going to see a diverse offense. I think a consistently explosive offense because we would
Yeah.
have moments, but then we just 5, 6 3 and outs from a team that just
Hmm.
wasn't stopped 4 drives in a row. Now we can't even get a first down. So I think
Right.
McDermott definitely has a lot to do with that. I think Brady's a little bit more of a risk taker in some situations where I think warrant taking some risks. But I think
Hmm.
that's probably the biggest worry right now in Buffalo is can he do what's necessary and really let Jim Leonard coach? You take care of the
Yes.
offensive side of the ball, but can you manage the rest of the team? Like if we
Yep.
Right.
lose 2 games in a row, can you handle the intangible stuff that it takes to keep the team together and to keep them motivated and positive? That's where McDermott was awesome.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Well,
Yeah, and I think
what did the players have? I mean, he's an internal hire. So what did the
yeah.
players think about him?
Well, I think that
That
with the
will,
veterans that Guru mentioned that they brought on, especially somebody that can make a difference on the team, CJ, GJ, you you're going to have to be a special type of coach to also not only let Jim Leonard do what he has to do is from a defensive standpoint. The question is, and I think if I remember correctly, did the Bills switch to a 3-4? I think they may
mm-hmm.
have.
Yep.
Yeah, them switching to a 3-4 will make things different. Going out there with your four linebackers and the athletes, how was CJ, somebody like a CJ, GJ, and the gentleman from Cincinnati, how are they going to let them be the folks on the defense that are the stalwarts of the D. And again, it's an aggressive defense with CJGJ. The question will be is, in this defense, where will he be thinking on his own, trying to make these aggressive plays, or whether him and Leonard, Leonard will give him some leeway to let him do what he needs to do. So it's kind of a quiet balance. I think the only thing the Bills have to worry about with Leonard is, especially if they have the season that, we could talk about, if they have a good season, then are they going to even be able to keep him? That's going to be the biggest thing. Are you going to be able to keep him past 2 years? That's the type of a coach I think we have. He's been waiting for his opportunity. He feels like he's been cheated on his opportunity. I think at Wisconsin when he was the interim coach, and he did. I was very surprised he didn't get the job. But
that surprised a lot of people.
But he's hungry. But I think the other players that I see right now can sense his hungriness, and they're looking for a new opportunity. So those things are good, but I think it'll be where everybody is with all those veterans. They all are good individually, but how will they play in sync? So if they're doing a 3-4 base and they're doing a cover one, how are they going to play it? Is everybody going to be on the same page? And I know having a good young corner who's going to listen to what it is that he has to listen to, I think is going to be important. Some people think you got a rookie out there, he's easy pickings. Well, yeah, he is, but then on the other hand, may not make as many mistakes as somebody that says, I played here for 7 years and I know what it is. It's the continuity of that defense. And
if you're talking about going 3-4 and cover one, you're having a whole lot of faith.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. But if you're going to play an attacking style defense, you're not going to be able to attack and play a cover two either. That's what I'm saying. There's not a whole lot. There's not help, but cover two, you're giving up a whole lot playing a 3-4, and you're not going to be able to attack as much. So I think with Leonard knowing who he is, he's going to attack. So they are going to have to play on an island against some of those other teams. And playing against A.J. Brown twice this year is going to be important to see how they do on an island and who gets matched up with them. And then who is going to be that vaunted nickel corner or slot safety.
That's what I was just thinking.
I think you bring up a couple of really good points, big dude, because one, a guy like CJGJ probably doesn't end up on the Bills roster if McDermott's still the coach.
Right.
And you guys know how excited I was because I felt like we didn't have any dogs. And that's what we have now, right? The second piece of that, in terms of this defense, what I've been hearing is that he's not teaching each of the individual players not starting off teaching them their roles. He's trying to get everybody to understand this entire scheme. And I think what both of you just mentioned about, well, man, will that work? I mean, you'd have to be doing this and attacking, and how are you going to, handle the outside? I think that he's kind of teaching it backwards. Like if they understand the concept of what the defense is supposed to do, then I think all of the concerns about, well, what if this and how will they handle this? For example, being able to stop the run, like being able to stop the run. I mean, we couldn't stop Pop Warner from running against us, right? That'll be the first sign that we'll see on whether this defense is legit or not, and his scheme will work or not. Because if you think about how Denver attacked, it was everybody on that ball, man. It was everybody on that ball, and that's one of the things that has frustrated me as a Bills fan. I didn't see guys flying to the ball all the time. I didn't see 5, 6, 7, 8 guys at the point of attack, unless it was once the running back was 20 yards into our secondary. And it's too late now. Of course, everybody's, in the shuffle now. But so, I think you bring up a couple of really good variables in terms of what this defense needs to do and what it can be. So we'll see. But I am excited. I didn't mean my initial statement to come off as if I'm not. I think I almost want to reframe it as I have a weird calmness about this season, if that makes any sense. I don't have anxiety. Like I think I already told you guys offline that I think we can beat Houston week 1. I know it'll be a tough game, but I feel confident going into that game that we'll be ready for it. So we'll see what happens, and we'll get to that certainly when we get to week 1. Let's segue into Miami. And, man, where do you even begin with they don't have an identity first and foremost, especially on offense. Tua's out of there, Waddle is out of there, Tyreek Hill. He's a free agent still, right?
Yeah,
He's not on the team. They waived him, right? So
yeah, it's yep,
what's their
Well, if you
offensive
said
identity?
Waddle is out of there,
Yeah, Waddle's in Denver.
yeah,
shit.
gone. Yeah, they. I mean, here's the thing: Miami has all but said, and they may as well said it. Miami is rebuilding. We know you're
Yeah.
rebuilding. You've lost all those different people. You've got a good, your good folks. Your guy from Alabama, I think, is there. The tackle. Um, I can't think of his name. But the thing about it is, there's a big turnover for Miami, and those fans at Miami, I guess, Guru, you can tell me more about it because you lurk more in the NFC East than I do, and the people that I know, beside even the Bills fans, it's very surprising the places that you go. When I go to places and watch games and go down south, there are a lot of loyal Dolphins fans who seem to think at some point, even though it's been since the '70s, that a Super Bowl is still coming back to them if they do certain things right. But it's going to still, take a while. Bringing in Malik, I think is big. The question is going to be, this is a person that always rode shotgun in the car. If we're taking a trip and everybody can ride shotgun, I can tell you where all the routes are. But once you get the keys to the car and you're doing it, that's what's going to be different about Malik Willis. And I'm happy for his opportunity, quite frankly, because I think it's about time I respect the Dolphins for doing that. It's just, it's hard to tell about how to rate them because there's such a turnover. Like you said, the identity, the philosophy, it's very difficult to talk about, where they're going to be. Their schedule is not an easy one from what I think I saw. So, uh, and it's hard to say even what's an easy schedule for them when you're not sure about where you are with the amount of players that you have to say what kind of roster do you have? Do you have a championship roster? Do you have one for the playoffs? Rebuild means, and we can get to all those other things later, of course. But it's hard to tell because the Dolphins are just so new to me, so new with leadership. A rookie offensive lineman that's coming in to try to hold things down. It's going to be so much more than all those other things that are happening with the Dolphins. The loss of all those veterans. We'll just have to see what happens. I mean, they're a team. They after slide backwards, they tore down their entire core. And now really, I'm not sure how they gain any depth from last year. I don't really see it and how they can do well with what they have so far. I'm hoping that they provide some surprises and a good level of competitiveness early. That's the good news is that they have youth on their side. So I'm not really familiar with all their schemes or what they say they're going to do this year, and even who the key people in the organization are. So the Dolphins are new altogether, kind of like the new ESPN. I'll call
Yeah, I think they'll be competitive. Now you mentioned that. I do think they'll be competitive. They also have a new head coach, Jeff Halfley, who is another one of these defensive minded head coaches. So we might see a Miami team that we haven't seen in some time where their defense might be their bread and butter initially until the offense can get itself together. Now, one thing that will work in Malik Willis's favor, even though they're young, I'm hearing great things about the two rookie wide receivers in camp. Caleb Douglas, who I don't, if you can correct me if I'm wrong, he wasn't on our radar. He's a wide receiver from Texas Tech. He
them.
is
Right.
absolutely killing camp. And then my guy
Yeah.
Chris Bell was one of my guys that I was high on. Apparently, he's looking pretty good coming back from the knee surgery. So those guys are having a great camp. Now they have huge shoes to fill on the outside. I mean, you can't replace two veterans like Waddle and Hill with two rookies. But if you're gonna have two rookies out there, the way these guys are looking so far, that that's the best you're going to be able to do. I think they're going to rely a lot on their running game with Ashan, who is a pretty consistent threat. No matter who they play, no matter how good Miami is, he always runs well, and I think a lot of will be put on their running game, especially if we're looking to be more of a defensive oriented scheme in South Beach. That's kind of where I see them. They're going to go with a 4-3 aggressive defense under Halfley. They said Jacob Rodriguez too, big dude. Your boy is killing it.
Oh, yeah, I can see that. From Texas
So,
Tech. Yeah, I can
so a
see that.
lot of youth in Miami,
a lot of good
a
stuff.
lot of youth, and we'll see what the coach does with that. It's actually a great opportunity to build something. So we'll see how good he is.
Quite a
But
few Texas Tech players, so I'm actually not surprised. But when I was preparing for this, kind of what I walked away with two things. One, if I'm a Miami fan, I'm looking for steady improvement right now. I
Yep.
mean, this is going to be a long term thing. Very few New England, Patriot turnarounds will ever happen in the league. So you have to expect this is going to take some time, and you need to see that improvement within the season and between seasons. I do like Halfley's approach. Apparently, kind of has this safe space approach, which I know that's going to trigger some viewers and some listeners. But hold on for a minute. Um, he says he wants to focus on making the mistakes now, while it's practice. While it's preseason. Understand the scheme. Um, think about what could you have done differently. So it becomes one of these teaching things. You're not concerned about how good you look. You're not concerned about making a mistake. You're making sure you understand the scheme. You go play. Then you have to learn to personalize it based on the situation. So that's kind of the approach he's taking. And so I can definitely see, especially with a lot of the young players, gravitating to that approach to coaching. So I mean, just based on that, if I were a Miami fan, I would feel good that we have a coach who understands the mental part of the game and is really doing that and giving that team space to grow. But then I'm going to expect the improvement.
Yeah, I think you nailed it, G. You just want to see improvement. I mean, this is going to be a super young team with a first time head coach. And that's all I think
Mm-hmm.
as a fan. Totally agree with you. All you can expect is to see improvement from week to week and for them to be competitive. And I think
Right.
one good thing about having a young team is these players are going to be hungry because everybody wants to prove themselves. Everyone wants to hang around in the league, right? So I think
Mm-hmm.
that's a positive to look at. I think if you're a Miami fan moving into this season, I also want to mention G too because I always love giving you guys your props. I gave Big Dude his props on Jacob Rodriguez, your guy Chris Johnson, your
Mm-hmm.
cornerback G that you introduced to us during our draft prospect shows is having a
He's
nice little
showing
camp
out.
as well. He's showing out, man. He's
He's
showing
showing
out.
out.
So some of you guys as rookies are nailing it so far. I love it. I love it. So yeah, I don't think anybody's going to expect a whole lot from Miami. They definitely had to move on from Tua, and I wish
Yeah.
him luck, in Atlanta. But they had to move on from Tua, and I think um, the way the draft will be looking over the next few years, and not obviously, I'm wishing Malik Willis success, but this is
Right.
a great signing for Miami because I think it's a good stopgap quarterback if that's all he ends up being. But I think he's going to give them more than just a stopgap quarterback. Now he's in a tough division. Miami fans don't expect that Miami's going to all of a sudden topple everybody in that division. That's
Right.
problem number one. So
You
give them
got
some
two
time and be
juggernauts here.
patient with them. Exactly, be patient with them. But I think that you're going to see a good product on the field that you'll ultimately be happy with their competitive spirit. Um, Moving into the NFL runner-up New England Patriots. Man, so many people are split on who this team is, as odd as that sounds. I know, all of us were like, they're not winning the Super Bowl. Great that they got there, but they weren't going to win it, and it went exactly how we predicted. Some say that they caught lightning in a bottle last year. Some say this is just the beginning. They won the AFC East last year after Buffalo had won it 5 years in a row. And I guess the first question I pose to you guys is New England the king of the mountain now in the AFC East? Like, are they the team to beat, or like what's next for them? They made some great offseason transitions. They had a pretty good draft. Another one of G's guys is showing out. We'll get to that later. But what are your thoughts on who the Patriots really are heading into this season?
Well, I think the Patriots had, of course, a surprising and extraordinary year last year. We'll put it to that. They didn't get it done. They did make some big trades, and they traded away an offensive lineman. I don't know why. They just traded Caden Wallace, which I thought was going to be something to help solidify him, and they're sticking with Will Campbell. But I think the biggest issue with the Patriots is, can they survive certain stretches? Like in a stretch where you have Seattle, Jacksonville, and Buffalo in the first 4 weeks, it's going to tell a whole lot about your team, about whether you're able to survive that, what you have. How now with AJ Brown, how much of a difference is that going to make? And of course, with their quarterback, how much is May going to mature this year, especially during that particular stretch? Because unless the Patriots actually prove something this year, especially with the offensive line, I mean, that loss and that devastating Super Bowl loss, it kind of showed the whole league. They're going to have to prove to the whole league that they can run the ball, that they can protect the quarterback. They have all the people and all the other folks in all the other positions. But it's really going to be interesting because they have the athletes, they have the individual players. But that first stretch, I think, is going to be important. It's going to be interesting to see probably within the first 5 or 6 weeks, because they'll get better how they're going to be able to play with a person that's on the team that's going to want several touches. It's probably going to want maybe 108, 110 touches this year with A.J. Brown, with their offense and their team that is so prescriptive and changes, cogs. They change cogs and parts. How can they get beyond that with the natural inclination to where A.J. Brown is going to want the ball more, and then Christian Gonzalez on the other end, how is he going to make out during that stretch, and how will they play against DJ Moore and the other players that they have as well with the Bills? And like I said, beyond that stretch, who are going to be some of the surprises? Because they're going to have some other folks that we haven't heard of. The people that they lost are gone. I think that, of course, they have an outstanding coach, but the question is, with them returning, are they going to have is Drake May going to be the quarterback that can lead them not even through the promised land, but a shot at the division? But their schedule is one of the hardest. One thing about you making to the Super Bowl, that means they probably got one of the top schedules, and I think I did see that as well. When they play Green Bay, they play Chicago, and even though that's in another league, those games are going to be a lot bigger. They play Minnesota, so those games that are out of conference this year, there may be one or two of those that are the difference, and they have to be able to beat teams like that, especially on the road. So that's going to be the biggest thing too. Can the Patriots do their thing on the road?
Their schedule compared to last year is going to be a huge sign of where they are.
Yeah.
Because that's the biggest complaint, and that's one of the things that I talked about, and I didn't want to take away from what they accomplished last year. But you had a nice, sweet schedule. It's a big boy schedule this year. If you can do it this year, my lips are sealed. G, your thoughts on the patch?
Well, I have my notes that Lady Luck is fickle and fleeting. So yeah, but honestly, I don't think they're going to need luck. If you just step back and look at the team that's been built, I actually think they've gotten stronger than last year, even though they lost some pieces. I do believe that because Drake May hasn't seen, a pass that he doesn't like, that he's not gonna be afraid to throw to his receivers, and I actually think that they are going to protect him better this season. So for me, I'm less concerned about New England as a team. They need to be concerned about whether or not they're going to run up against healthy major teams or major teams with injuries.
Mhm.
So
And one of
if they run up against the major teams and they have their players, it's going to be a dogfight. So I think that they're really good. I can't say that they're going to win some of those games. I don't know, but I would say I don't think that this is going to be the same season. Pretty much what you all were saying, but I think they're going to still be very competitive again.
Yeah, I think an X factor for not only Drake May, but ultimately for the Patriots, and we talked about this during our playoff coverage, is you cannot underscore the value of Josh McDaniels.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that, and you guys may not agree with me, so feel free to disagree. I did not feel that coming into the league, nor did the Patriots or probably anyone else consider where he was drafted, that Tom Brady came in as a great quarterback. I'd say I felt the same way when Drake May came in. He never met expectations at UNC. However, under Josh McDaniels' tutelage, we obviously see who Brady became. And that's
Mm-hmm.
what scares me as a Bills fan. If Josh McDaniels wasn't on that sideline, I don't think I'd be as worried about Drake May because I
Hmm.
don't think that he's innately that dude. But he's obviously coachable and he can become that dude under Josh McDaniels. That's what scares me to death.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I don't
Um,
think that they really. I don't think that if you're a New England fan, you should be happy because honestly, you got a chance to go back to the Super Bowl. I think.
Yeah,
Wow.
it was house money last year. That most they'll
Hmm.
be unless something crazy happens, which almost happened this off season with their coaching situation. It would only be
Hmm.
something like that. But they are set up to be in this conversation for the next decade, no doubt about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Agree.
it's obviously something that will always kind of have me tossing and turning a little bit. But you know what?
Yeah.
I welcome the challenge. I welcome the challenge because championships don't come easy. So,
As they
it is
should.
what it is. It is what it is. So we talked about AJ Brown. Let's talk about their running backs for a minute because I love Travion Henderson. I
Mm.
think that we only saw a glimpse of what he's going to be and what he's going to bring to this team. Can you imagine when he matures and peaks? Now you have this running game. You have a quarterback who's still not at his peak. I would argue that you have AJ Brown, who, if he settles in to the New England system, that you now have this team together that can be a threat offensively as a running team and as a passing team.
Right.
And
Right.
that's something that can't be overlooked is the value of their running game. And don't forget about Ramondre Stevenson. I know he had some turnover problems and all of that, but still another solid runner. So again, I guess the question I'll pose in bringing that up: where's the weakness on New England? What is their weakness?
I mean, the offensive line, and you have is it Morgan Moses. Again, a good solid player. Is he the same that he was before? No, that's what I'm saying. They're sticking with him, and I don't blame them for sticking with him. But NFL is one thing I keep saying, and I'm glad. I can't take a whole lot away from them because they did what they had to do to get there last year. The thing is, in this stretch that I talked about, in those games, they're going to have to carry him. If they're able to run the ball and do what you say, Guru, I would say with the running backs, then I think you're in good enough shape, where they'll be in the games, and they're running the three again. As you mentioned, G, earlier, you're another team that runs a 3-4. With some of the teams that they're playing against, it's going to be interesting to see if they do cover two or cover two man.
Mhm.
With the way they're doing things. I say that they are set up for several years of success, but I think this is the year to talk about which type of success there is. A lot of teams, that you get to the Super Bowl, you say, you know what, they got there, they had a great season, they got their playoff money. One step from there, who can really argue about that season? I think that it's obvious their defensive line is strong, and New England's defense is strong. They don't give up a lot of points. Their offensive line still has a lot to prove.
Oh
Yeah,
yes,
they
that's what I'm getting
have.
ready to say, big dude. Was the O line from looking at them? They whether or not they're going to show up and going to
Right.
keep and not have May under a lot of pressure. But I also believe that some of it with Rodriguez and Brown being there, that's going to open up some space, and so I don't think you're going to have some of those linebackers trying to sneak up sometimes, or some of the cornerback trying to sneak up sometimes. I think they may be forced to kind of play home a lot more often than maybe they did last season. They being New England opponents. So yeah, I think the offensive line is going to be the question. We have to see where that's going to go. They're not horrible. I don't think they're going to be horrible. But you're right. I just looked at the depth chart after you said it, and yeah, that's concerning for them.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that makes it even more concerning, G, is the defenses that they'll need to beat again. Okay, so think about how Houston played them. Think about how Denver played them. Had either of those teams had any semblance of offense on those days, Denver not going for a fourth down and taking a field goal goes to the Super Bowl. CJ Sprout, if he gives you 20 more percent, Houston's going to eliminate New England. I bring those two teams up as case studies of any team that has a defense of that caliber is going to cause them a problem, because even with the new weapons, Houston can cover and Denver can cover. Those two teams aren't going to be worried about, oh, they got A.J. Brown. Okay, that's cool. I have top tier DBs that can cover him one on one, and we're not going to be afraid of that. All of the Houston guys, the Denver guys, Denver has one guy that I don't like, but I'm sure that they'll put him on the other side from AJ. But those teams will cause them problems, and that's where we'll see the Drake May that we saw during the playoffs. I think that's their weak point, and you guys both touched on it. If they don't get that line shored up, at least give them some extra time, because even with time, those
Yeah,
matchups are going to be tough against those defenses.
they are.
So, but that's again, it's not a stretch of trying to find a weakness, but it, they're very strong. They're a very strong team. Even having said that, so like I said, they'll keep me up a few nights, I'm sure, but they don't scare me yet. They don't scare me yet. I mean, look at the two games we played last year. We basically crapped the bed at home that Sunday night. We could have still won that game. And then I don't know how we came out at Foxborough in the beginning, but we got it together and kind of showed who was the better team that day. So I'm still banking on we're the team to beat, but I welcome the challenge, Pats. I'm gonna try to get up to Foxborough.
Mhm.
Be kind to me, Patriot fans. Let's finish up with the New York Jets. Man, just this is another rebuild for a team that's historically so good defensively. The fact that they didn't have one interception last year, playing for a defensive minded coach, is extremely disturbing. And I don't know if you
Mm.
guys know, they only caused 4 turnovers the entire year.
Oh,
Dang, that's horrible.
So,
that's a wait. What?
so I don't even know where to begin with the Jets. I'm a big Aaron Glenn fan. I loved him when he played. He was one of my favorite guys to watch. But you have a 35-year-old Geno Smith. That's the offseason move you make for a quarterback. Um, I don't know where to start with the Jets,
Who, who
guys.
else? Who else was out there at the time when they finally really was pulling the trigger, who else was there?
Probably not a lot, to
So
be quite honest
it
with you.
wasn't a lot. And what you're hoping is that Gino was a product of his situation, is what they're probably banking on. And so, but I'm just like, okay, the Raiders were the Raiders, but you the Jets. How is that any better? Okay, I'm sorry, Jets fans, but it's just it's just horrible.
Yeah, I don't even know what you say about him because I like Geno Smith, and I was happy that he was having a little bit of success in Seattle, and I was hoping that when he got to the Raiders that would continue, but it seemed like he's
Agreed.
already peaked, and now he's on the other side of his career. So I hope that he can find a little bit of fountain of youth and hopefully make the Jets competitive, but at least for himself have a good showing. And it's a shame too because they have weapons. I mean, you're wasting Brees Hall's career. You have Garrett Wilson, who I don't know how much more
Mm.
of this Garrett Wilson is going to take, guys. To be quite honest with you, he wasn't happy with Rodgers, and I don't see him being very happy with Geno once those interceptions start flying. So I don't think it'll be long before he wants out of there.
So here's the
I
thing
really
with
don't.
them. When I think of the Jets, they should be called the New Jersey Boeings. You know, the company Boeing, because they just got too many problems, and I don't know what it's going to take to fix a team like that. Now, I will say, based on looking at some of their defensive players, their defense may actually be a little bit better. I don't know how many blowout losses they're going to have. I don't think they may be a mid defense, maybe, and I might be being overly generous, but that's what I'm guessing. Gino, I have a note about until further notice. I just don't see him happening. And the bright spot could be is Kenyon Sadiq. He might be doing a whole
Yeah,
bunch of jumping off to him, and he might become this fantasy football star because he's just getting that target. Because I mean, did y'all look at their O line? Who are they
I
stopping?
was just about to ask you how is their O line because that'll
Yeah,
tell
they
you
ain't
everything we're
stopping
going to need to
anybody.
know about their offense.
They're gonna
Say that
probably
again.
they can go against these three down defensive linemen, and one of them gonna still get in the backfield.
That should work perfectly for our 3-4 defense. Then I love it.
One of them is
Yeah,
gonna get it.
and that's the thing. Just understanding too. Like I said, 3-4 is attacking. Can Geno Smith get away? And how much is Frank Wright being the O coordinator? How much is he going to be able to train some things? That is going against the blitz and doing things against the blitz. That's what makes it a little bit different when you start talking about Josh Allen and Geno Smith. Josh Allen at 30 years old still can get away. He still can do other
Mhm.
things. Geno Smith was never great at that, but it's hard to figure out just what else he's going to be beyond Kenyon Sadiq. How well will the line do what they have to do to even run the ball? So I would say,
Mhm.
definitely the Jets have a chance. I think certainly they're going to surprise some people, but I don't know if surprising people is going to be more than what they're going to be this year. Unless you start to get an offensive line, not necessarily that's dominant, where everybody again is on the same page.
Mhm.
What can they do to take over and give the Jets more opportunities on the edge and all those other places? And their defense. They got David Bailey. What is that going to mean? About who is around David Bailey. We all had him picked at a different point. Now, I think I had him as my top defensive end or edge player from last year. But you still got to have the talent around. The Jets are always somewhere around there, and they don't finish too many good places because they have just enough to get you through the season. The question is what kind of start can they get off to in the first 5 games?
They
Or
won six last season, right?
yeah, I think so.
Six. I wouldn't be surprised they
No,
get to
they won.
seven.
No.
What
They
they
won
get? What
three
they
Oh,
get?
last year.
Okay,
oh,
They
that's
yeah,
won
right.
three
they
games
might get
last
to
year.
five. They might get to five this season. I think.
The crazy thing about it is the Dolphins won seven, and at one point were in the playoff hunt.
Wow, that is surprising because I don't really keep up with them, but yeah, that's surprising.
Yeah, the
Not
the
much to say
Jets were
about the
just
New Jersey
miserable.
Boeing, though.
Yeah, they were just so bad. I mean, categorically, they were at the bottom of pretty much everything. Um,
So there's a culture. How do you actually change a culture? Because also too, the way the NFL is set up, a lot of times you can't make big turns. Again, New England is a rarity. You just can't make those big turns. And there is levels of lightning in the bottle, particularly if you just luck up and you have a really good off season with your drafts and free agents. And sometimes that happens, and then once that happens, you can kind of sustain it. So part of New York, part of the New Jersey Boyens is that they just have a losing culture. Plus, the
yeah,
structure of the NFL makes it hard for them to get all those pieces.
yeah, I think you
Well,
nailed it, G. It's the
yeah.
leadership at the top, and it's the right coach. Go ahead, big dude.
No, that's just what I was going to say. I mean, obviously, everyone has an idea that things are going to be a little bit better, but the leadership at the top, again, they did a good job selling out on the drafts, and really because they were available. When you play that bad, you're going to get some good draft picks, but that mix of veterans and the
Hmm.
leadership and how you encourage the leadership
Right.
and put the leadership there. I just don't see the connection. You have somebody like Frank Wright. The guy is he's probably right around our age, just about mine. But the question is it just doesn't seem to me that they can relate on how to get people prepared. It seems like everyone knows what they're doing, but they're just filling in the dots. And it's got to be beyond filling in the dots, knowing that you have speed in certain positions. How can there be a whole, as G said, the confluence of their culture? How does it result in them expecting to do well? Because the Jets think they can do well, but they don't expect to do well. I don't know why that is. And you hear the fans that this could be the year. It just never sounds like that the Jets are going to, and they wear their Jets stuff proudly and they sell their games out. I wouldn't go see a Jets game. I don't care what you say. But something's got to happen where somebody believes something good has got to happen. So for the Jets' own good, I actually like the Jets. I always liked the Jets. I had some former teammates that played for them, and they all said it's a nice place to play, but it's hard to tell what people want.
Hmm. Interesting.
Deep, deep. All right. Well, we're not going to go and determine our order of finish or pick our champions yet. We're going to hold off on that until we get a little bit closer to the start of the season. But we'll leave with this contenders in this division, fellas, which I think are pretty obvious, but I'd throw it out there nonetheless.
Oh yeah, Buffalo and New England, without a doubt.
Yeah,
Without a
nothing to
doubt.
add to that on my end. All right, well, that is the AFC East. Let's jump into the AFC North. Another very intriguing division, starting with Baltimore. They are entering an entirely new era with John Harbaugh now in New York, the other team in New York, and Jesse Mentor taking over the reins. You still have Lamar, you still have Derrick Henry, an older Derrick Henry, but you still have him. And I don't know. I feel like Baltimore has just not lived up to the expectations of a team that has had the talent. And I would argue the coaching. Something always comes up. Lamar's been hurt on and off a lot lately. The drop pass and buff, just things happen to Baltimore. And
Drop
there's no
pass,
reason.
wide
You know
right
what I'm
kick.
saying? Yeah, there's no, missing the field goal the last after a terrible season, still having a division championship on the foot of your kicker, as bad as the season was, and misses it. Right? I'm gonna leave it there. I don't know what to say about Baltimore either. It's kind of one of those teams that I hate to see them, but I also root for him because I'm a Lamar Jackson fan, and I want more for him. Not too much, but I want more. What are your thoughts on Baltimore? It's a new look team. We don't know what we're going to get with this new coach. Where do we start?
I don't know. I think I'm a little bit more hopeful, I think, than you are, Guru. I think they did a good job with the rookies that they brought in. I thought they had a really good off season in that regard. I think their defense is actually back. So yeah, the wide right, that's like a stab, and then your QB constantly injured. So as long as you can keep him off the ground, I think they'll be fine. Because like I said, I think the DB is back. I think they got a good guard. I cannot remember his last name.
The Penn State guy,
Yeah,
Owane,
so I think that they're
Vega
going to be. I
Owane.
Oh
think they're
yeah,
going to
one.
be solid. I actually think that this one is going to be solid. It's going to come down, in my mind, to the coach. Can the coach keep them moving forward if a major injury happens? Are they preparing the next player? We talk about the depth. I don't know about their depth.
Hmm.
But I'm actually, if I were a Baltimore fan, I'm actually feeling pretty good right now.
Big dude, might there be less pressure on Baltimore this season? New coach, people kind of writing them off. Lamar's dropped in the quarterback rank. They don't think he's a top quarterback anymore. King Henry's old. Maybe this is great that everybody thinks this and they can kind of play relaxed now.
One thing I can tell you is in Baltimore, finishing 8-9 like they did last year just will not work. So if they
Yeah.
have to play relaxed to make it better, or they have to be hyped up, because they have to get out of the gate, seeing what type of coach overall Mentor is. I haven't seen him. Mentor came over from the Chargers last year, so it'll be hard to find out. That with him being the actual helm, the expectations remain high. The expectations remain high across the front. They still got Zay Flowers back. I think it said he had 66 receptions last year, and then you got their tight end Mark. Gosh, I forgot his name, but you know, you have folks that are they have a schedule that's going to be difficult as well. Playing the Steelers this year, and we'll get to the Bengals. I think those teams are improved, and I think it's going to be interesting to see how they do in their division. When you have a divisional game in this particular division in the AFC North, it's almost like probably I would say 7 rides from maybe New Jersey down to Florida. Man, it takes a lot out of you, and you better maintain what it is that you have. So beside Henry, they're going to have to find another back, and they're going to have to find another way of getting to moving the football down the field. Lamar Jackson is that guy. The question is he going to be smarter this year? He probably is trying not to run as much because he doesn't want to get hurt, and he has to be smarter. But they have to come up with something else than what they've done before. Having a defensive-minded coach, I think the defense will be, I don't want to call them steel curtain-ish, but I think the defense is certainly going to be better this year. It's going to be one of those defenses that has the real bite that's needed. And I think not just from an aggressive standpoint, but I think they'll be much more sound and understand that the offense is never going to be great for Baltimore. I'm sorry. They just are not. The defense is going to, in order for them to finish maybe 10-7, 11-6, the defense is going to have to win at least 3 or 4 of those games.
You read my mind, big dude. I was just thinking, what weapons does Baltimore have on offense that really threaten anybody? Now, they did draft the 2 rookie wide receivers, Jacoby Lane from USC and Elijah Surratt from Indiana, but their running back roster is horrible. I mean, it's King Henry and Justice Hill, and then I don't even know who the other people are. I think that Baltimore's offense needs to not turn the ball over and take advantage of opportunities that their defense presents for them. Because I just
Hmm.
don't think the offense is as dynamic outside of the special plays that Lamar will make occasionally. I just don't think there's anybody that scares you if you're the top defenses in their division in the AFC. I just don't think you're afraid of Baltimore offensively.
Yeah.
And, and I think that's going to become a problem.
Yeah. I'm looking at their roster right now, and yeah, I
It's
don't know.
bad, man. It's bad
Yeah, I have to take
offensively.
back what I
It
just
is
said.
bad.
Mm.
No,
Yeah, I have to take
I
that
don't
back.
think you I don't think you should I don't think you should retract because I think they're still going to be a solid team. I think that
Yeah.
they're going to win differently than we would expect them to having a dynamic quarterback like Lamar Jackson. And that's
Yeah, they'll
okay.
be
You can
winning
win a
very
Super Bowl
ugly.
with Trent Dilfer. You can win a Super Bowl with Trent Dilfer. We saw that. You don't need to put up a lot of points. Defense wins championships. And
That's true.
I would dare say that their defense I think their defense is right there. I think they got the right coach for it. I think their defense will hold up its end of the bargain.
Hmm. We'll see. I think a lot of it, if the more I look at it, if that offensive line actually holds up, then they can just be ugly. They can ugly their way, to a good record this season.
Exactly. That's the word I was looking for. Ugly it up enough, and that's how you can win your games. You only need to have one more
Mhm.
point than the other teams and get them to play ugly games. We can punt. It's okay to punt. Remember, every possession ends on a kick.
Right.
Extra point, or a punt, or a field goal.
Yeah, it's good. There, they got it ugly. They have an ugly team. Let's just put it, at least on offense. They're gonna just have to
Yeah.
play that real ugly ball.
So I think there's a lot of unknown with them, but I think their defense definitely how that team goes will be how their defense goes. And I think their
Yeah,
defense is going to be pretty damn good with Mentor, in my opinion.
agree.
Quan Smith back this year, so we'll see what type of leadership he provides. He's in his late 20s now, still able to play. How will they respond to his leadership? I think that's the biggest part with Minter this year. How will he empower leadership as a defensive minded coach? Can you empower the leadership or the quarterback? And
Hmm.
on your defense, who's not just going to be wearing the green dot, but who is going to be the person to empower the defense and the folks that you're bringing back, along with some of the veterans and the rookies that you brought in. So, but like you said, I think the defense will be fine. The defense may say to the offense, "Hey, you get us 21 points, and that's good for us.
Hmm.
We'll take care of the rest."
Mm.
Yeah, and that's reasonable, especially in this division. That'll win you a division championship.
Yes.
This division
you
is gonna
know,
probably be ugly.
it
The
probably
whole
will
division.
be. So, which is a great segue into Cincinnati, who has the potential to be the prettiest team, but things happen to them too. Things happen to teams in the AFC North. We don't know what's it going to look like for Burrow. He made comments about, maybe football wasn't as interesting to him as it once was. And, you still have superstar wide receivers who are arguably the best tandem in the league. Defense, again, is always one of their problems. Losing Trey Hendrickson is not going to help that. But they claim that their defense got better. We will see. But is Burrow enough to carry this team on his back again at this point in his career? Because he has done it, but a little bit older, the injuries piling up, a little bit of wear and tear. I mean, when he's in, they're almost unstoppable, but they can't stop anybody. So where's Cincinnati's almost at a crossroads here. I almost feel like if they don't get something done this year, and this is crazy to say this because this is a team that's been to the Super Bowl already that people forget. But if they don't get it done this year, is this a total like garage sale, fire sale, get everybody out of there, get some capital, and start over again?
Yeah, I have a note that we're kind of witnessing the return of the Bungles. You remember Berman calling them the Cincinnati
Yeah,
Bungles?
Indeed, indeed,
I
indeed.
think we're at that return, and you said it, and I'm gonna say it again. Defense wins
I just
champions,
don't
and
understand how a
they
team
didn't get the memo.
that much talent, how a team like that could be 6-11. I just don't
Yeah.
understand it.
makes no sense. Well,
Well,
now
No.
you got
some of that was the injury. I think some of that is Joe Burrow being out having to rely on Flacco.
But think
yeah,
about how well Flacco played, though.
yeah,
Yeah, but he wasn't playing like Burrow though.
They
yeah,
were
but
winning with him.
They were
good
winning.
enough to
Yeah,
win.
they did play good enough
Yeah.
to win. That is true.
Well, they have Cassius Howell. This year it's going to be interesting how they look at some of the young people that they have. I mean, Howell's only and they're young. Howell's 23 years old, and Cedric Johnson, on their D line, he's 23. So they got some good young players, and they have some solid linebackers. But the question is, I guess on defense, one of the issues I always had with the Bengals is to try to find out who's really in charge on defense. I can't really tell. Who the quarterback of the offense is. Who's the quarterback on defense? Who's the person that is responsible for bringing things around and say, "Hey, we got to make this play. This is third and short, y'all. Let's make this play and let's get off the field." I mean, for years I can't tell who the Cincinnati Bengals person is on defense that does that.
I agree with you 100% on that one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I just
I
haven't
don't know.
seen it, but let's hope that people like Cassius Howell, they came from Texas A&M. I don't think they could have made a better pick on the D line, but having all these other people that are interchangeable parts, there's got to be one person that is the main ingredient to everything else, and I
They
think
got
that
him
that's
second on the depth chart at the right edge. So yeah, I don't know.
yeah, yeah, right. That's what I'm
Looking
saying.
at it, I'm like, I don't know. I don't know.
It's a bunch of names, and like you said, you got pretty football, but can Cincinnati, especially in that division, can Cincinnati ever win them a game? Now there's a be an ugly game between them and the Ravens, but can the defense ever win the game for Cincinnati? We know the offense can, but can the defense, rise to the occasion and win those games in the same fashion that the Ravens win for their offense? Because Joe Burrows needs some help, and he needs some help with his defense. They need to give him field position, short fields, and all those other types of things. He's not going to be a 4,000-yard passer anymore. So, what do you do? I'm glad they got some of the players they have, but as you said, G, looking at the roster, even like I said, even looking at the secondary, I'm like, who are these guys?
So big
This
dude,
is
big dude, you don't think Burrow puts up numbers anymore?
I think that he could be a 4,000-yard passer. But I don't know if that's, and maybe I put it wrong. The fact that I'm not so sure that if he is a 4,000-yard passer and puts up numbers, that it even matters. I mean,
It
I
hasn't.
guess
It
that's what
hasn't
I'm saying.
mattered.
because if the
Yeah,
defense is giving up more points, it's not gonna matter.
Not
right.
gonna
That's
matter.
right.
But let me
Mm-hmm.
ask you guys this question: Zach Taylor's got to be on the hot seat. You can't tell me he's not going to be in that locker room with the Ozzie Davis joint at some point this
Yeah,
year.
Yeah. He's an Ozzie Davis candidate for real.
yeah.
I
And the only
mean,
What
come
reason,
season is
on.
this for him?
I think this is his seventh, if I'm not mistaken. I think he
Yeah,
came
I'm
in
like,
2019.
he's on the hot seat, man. He's on the hot seat.
In
yeah,
fact, I'll go out on a ledge and say, if it goes awry, he doesn't make it through the season.
Well,
yeah. And
I
and the
don't
only
know.
reason he might have a chance at making it through the season, I mean, Cincinnati is is pretty patient, like our guy Marvin. You know, I mean, he,
That's
Well,
he
that's
true.
actually
true.
la-
That's
he
true.
had,
That's
he
very
actually
true.
lasted a couple more years longer than I thought. So the
That
question
is
is,
true.
is that Cincinnati style to take him out of there? I think certainly in most other cultures, and you talk about cultures, some reason they stick with this guy. I don't know if it's the hardcore, middle American, hardcore, brooding type of thing where you gotta let the person finish the job. I just I think if stuff happens the same way it does, something has got to happen that's different in Cincinnati. It just
Yeah.
hasn't, and they've been there. They had their chance, and it was almost worse that they almost made it to do what they had to do. But then things got worse. I don't know how that could be.
Yeah, I feel
Yeah,
like
you
that
know
they
what?
just totally waste
I'm
Burrow.
glad you said that because I've been trying to figure out how did they get here? How could this get worse year after year? And I get the Burrow injuries, but okay, as a management team, you got a quarterback that's been hurt multiple years in a row. You ever think about maybe going and getting a backup quarterback like a Malik Willis type of cat that's serviceable?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You know what I'm
But
saying? Because you have too many
focus on your
weapons.
offensive line. How about that? Focus on
Yeah,
your offensive line.
some of his injuries weren't the line though. Remember the hand was he hit his hand on a helmet or something crazy like that on a
Oh, that's
Monday
a freak
night.
injury.
Yeah, and I think the toe thing too. Because remember he had the toe
That was
injury.
close.
Yeah, it was some weird stuff.
He snake
So
bit it.
Yeah.
I'm
okay.
telling you,
Yeah.
Yeah, they just
he has
ruined
to
that
have a
man.
perfectly clean pocket. He's got to have a
He needs
perfectly
to
clean
leave.
pocket, and
He
that's
needs to
unheard of for
leave.
anybody. Yeah.
He
Yeah.
just needs to leave.
Good luck, Cincinnati. Good luck,
Yeah.
So
Cincinnati.
he needs to
Um,
go.
So let's go to Cleveland. The biggest thing for Cleveland is their quarterback situation. That's probably one of the biggest stories. I'm hearing conflicting things coming out of Cleveland. I'm hearing Shador's killing it. I'm hearing Watson's killing it. I'm hearing neither's doing the damn thing. I
Well,
don't even know what
I
to
haven't
do
heard
if you're
that one yet.
Cleveland. I saw that today.
Huh.
Oh,
Yeah, because I'm actually
that's
what I've
hard.
been hearing and reading is that both of them have been doing okay, but maybe Shadua has been doing a little better. But this last little thing where I think this week Shadua was supposed to take snaps with the ones, but they gave it over to Deshaun Watson, and so
Mm-hmm.
that just caused a lot of drama this week. So, but here's what I'm thinking. I wouldn't be surprised is that I'm wondering if they gave that to Watson not to slight Shador, but to be like, okay, I really need to see what this 200 million dollar man is right now. Because he might not be playing as well as Shador, and I really need to see what's happening. So he's like, basically, yo, Shador, let me see what he has. I'm sure they talked to Shador about it. His
Mm-hmm.
personality, he just like, yeah, whatever. I'm gonna stay ready. It's kind of his attitude. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know, man. I just think that Stefanski created this sideshow,
Yep.
and I think Monken, if he's not careful, he's getting ready to continue it.
I think I agree with you, G. I would I'm certainly partial to Shador, but we're paying Watson too much money. We're going to figure this out for once and for all because he was hurt before. Now you're not hurt. Either you can play or you can't.
Right,
So I'm going to throw
right.
you
As
in
soon as we
there.
know if it's good money or dead money, the better.
Yep, I'm going to throw you in there. If it don't work out, Shador, here's the keys. You keep them. You can
We
keep them
just take a
because,
nail on that. We'll take a nail until you're gone. I mean,
yep.
because you're stuck with it. You can't cry over it. You just got to do what you got to do.
I mean, they're really in a
Yeah.
bad situation because you're stuck paying Watson. They
Mm.
don't know what to do with Shador. I've also heard trade rumors about Shador.
Mm-hmm.
And you have good draft coming up where you're probably going to be. I dare go out on a limb and say Cleveland probably be one of the 3 to 5 worst teams again this year. So they'll be in a running for one of these quarterbacks coming out. What do? You drafted 2 quarterbacks last year, which was ridiculous. So you're going to draft another quarterback, and again, take it.
Mm-hmm.
You make the wrong decision, and now you have 4 different quarterbacks, and none of them panned out.
Right.
Uh,
Right.
Cleveland's another organization, like you said about culture and leadership, G, just can't get it right, man. And they
Yeah, I
had it
mean,
right. They had it right with
yeah,
Baker Mayfield that one year. I don't understand what happened to that team that blew out Pittsburgh in the playoffs. Why was that team? Why didn't they return for the next year to see what they could do?
yeah, it made no sense. I mean, and they haven't. I mean, people got to understand. Cleveland's got to do something. They had. Well, I guess I'll have to give this up just in context. I was going to try to save it for one of the way was, but I think we're talking about it. They have to do something. They have not won a division title since they were in the AFC Central. That doesn't exist. In 1989, that's the last time they won a division title.
That's
Mm,
Something
crazy.
different has got to happen. I mean, Miles
yeah.
Garrett is going. Now they got Jared Verse. What is Jared Verse's opportunity going to be for leadership? Everybody's going to be looking to him for some other things. As we have the quarterback situation is, I can say either could be good or the worse on how it's handled. But
Mm-hmm.
uh, I think Watson, you do have to see what he has for this amount of money thing going on, but he's either performing or he's not performing. If the team doesn't respond well to him, you're gonna have to pay the guy anyway. Put Shador in there as a starting quarterback. There's no more having packages and all those other types of things. Watson came back, came through a lot of stuff, and I think everybody should respect Watson for becoming the man he needs to be lately and all those other things. But can he lead the team? Does he have it? We know what the projection was. But if you're going to stick with him, stick with the consequences also. Yeah,
But here's my thing:
that's what I say.
Why would you pay that much money for a player? I don't know if I would want to
Projection
pay that money for
for who they're
any
going
player.
to. And well, most of the GMs and all those other folks, and they were just talking about that with Howie. They said, Howie, what is with these contracts? What are you thinking about it? He said, in the NFL, you never pay people by who they are and just what they got done. It's going to be who they're going to be, who we think they're going to be. I think, Guru, you talked about New England getting set up for the next 8 to 10 years and for success and all. So those other
Paying
people they're
Deshaun
going to be
Watson
bringing
that
into
much
it
for that many
that should.
years?
Yeah, well, they went beyond it and they thought they could wrap something up. But this was a franchise that was desperate to get something else going. There were all these campaigns just to win a big game on Monday Night Football where the fans didn't leave.
So
But
basically, that was an emotional signing.
yes, that's what I
Whoa,
would
whoa,
call it.
whoa, 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 whoa. Let's back up a
That's,
little
that's
bit
what I would
because
call it.
we're being Monday morning quarterbacks now. Y'all gotta rewind a little bit. When
Okay.
Cleveland signed Deshaun Watson, it's almost like them thinking they found a Gucci bag at a garage sale because you got to remember the
Yeah.
time and the context.
Yeah.
That this was all
Okay.
the civil cases against him for his behavior off the field. He was at peak quarterback, right? Who happened to get suspended for all this stuff. So, and I'm not justifying the move or the money, but I'm trying to
Well,
put myself in the mindset of a franchise like Big Dude said. You got to do something. We got an
That's still
all-pro
emotional,
quarterback
wouldn't you
sitting
say,
out
though?
here. You have an all-pro quarterback sitting out here that from everything that we all, if we would all rewind back to that time, all of us probably would say that Deshaun Watson could still play football. None of us would have ever
yeah.
imagined that he would have fallen off a cliff.
Yeah, he just never did it for me. I understand it. He probably has statistics I don't know. Now for me, that's not where I was ever going. I thought he was only going to go so far. That's what I saw
Yeah,
with
and
him. He just
I'm not saying that he was
yeah.
going to be the ultimate big dude, but
Mhm.
his trajectory was on the increase. And that's
Yeah, it
why
was
it was such a
understandable.
devastating thing to happen where, oh my God, not this guy. He was becoming the face of the league, one of the better quarterbacks, and this is what he's doing
Yeah,
outside of the facility. This is what we got happening. It was
right.
almost a devastating blow. And
But see, that's part of why I still think it's somewhat emotional because it's like, ooh, I got this bargain. But you're right, though. I mean, you are right. I just looked up his season stats, and I mean, just that last year, he had a QB rating. What was it? This is saying 112.
Well,
So
I
I
don't
mean, I
know if
get
you
it.
guys remember what you
I get
thought at
it.
the time of him, but I know I thought highly of him at the time, and he
Yeah, that's
we
true.
could not beat them. We couldn't beat Houston with him on the team, and I didn't think they were a better team than us, but we couldn't beat them,
Yeah.
and they probably were going to be the kings of that division had he not gotten to all of that stuff. And I know that's just how I viewed him at the time. And I respect the fact that, like you said, big dude, you never looked at him that way. I respect that. But I certainly did. And I could see how a team would. And I know my reaction when Cleveland signed him was like, oh my God, Cleveland just got a steal. It's about to
Now,
change the
we
whole
wouldn't have signed him
franchise
for two
around.
hundred million dollars.
I wouldn't have signed him for that. I agree. I wouldn't have signed him for that. And I don't know why that was the money that was involved in it, especially given that he had the asterisk on
Mm-hmm.
disciplinary behavior. But I could definitely see why they were like, we got to get this guy into the facility for sure. So
Yeah, that's
if
why
I
I
were to
feel it was
question that
emotional.
personally, if I were to question that, I would feel like a hypocrite because I didn't feel like it was a bad decision at the time at all.
No, I
I
get it.
feel
I
like,
get it.
damn,
I
I feel
still
like,
wouldn't have. I
damn, bro.
still think 200 million was to get him. I
230
think was
million.
right under the circumstances, right?
I agree
That
with you
200
on the
million that
money.
had to be emotional. We need to get him. We need to get him. We need to get him.
Well, they
I
were
totally
desperate, like
agree
I
with you
said.
on the money. I agree with you on the money for sure. I would not have paid anybody that type of money. And again, he was suspended. Why am I giving, you have, I'll give you a prove it contract, but you're not getting no max deal like that.
Yep.
You know what I'm
I
saying?
might even
So
give you. I might give you 1 year, but give you a good number that 1 year, and see where you are.
that's what I would have done. That's exactly what I would have done. I would have given him 1 year and then, based on how this goes, because they wouldn't be stuck now.
Yup.
Because then remember, more stuff came out, and he tried to give us the good face, but everybody handles pressure differently, and it obviously ate him up because he could no longer play football because of it. Some people can go out there and forget whatever happened off the field and go out there and give you that work. And he certainly
Yeah.
wasn't capable of that. And I'm not saying it's a flaw in him because not everybody can, but
Right.
yeah, they should have gave him a prove it deal on that for sure. But the
You
signing
know.
him, I thought was a good idea. Just don't like
Yeah,
the
Yeah.
that's what I'm
terms of
saying.
signing him.
And it's about who they thought he was going to be. And that
Yeah.
was the answer, G's question about why you do it. And they had their own idea to do it, but it just, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one
Yeah.
of those
Is there
that,
anything else redeeming about Cleveland at this juncture? I mean, their defense was one of the top rated defenses in the league, especially passing. But how much of a fall off are they going to experience losing Miles Garrett versus having Jared Verse?
I, Jared
I
Verse
mean,
will
I
be
I
fine,
like
but
him.
yeah,
Yeah. I was gonna
but
say. I
do
think
I
he'll
think
be
it's the same
fine.
thing though, and the same impact? No.
Yeah. I mean,
I,
you
I think,
can't replace Miles Garrett. Okay. I mean, there's
It's a
only one.
once in a
yeah,
lifetime player. Once in a lifetime
Yeah.
player.
So,
yeah, he's
but if
generational.
you look collectively at their defense, I mean, I think it's going to be okay.
I
I
think
think
they're
it'll
the
be okay.
defense. And I bring that up because I'm wondering if the defense can keep them in games again, like they did during the Miles Garrett era. The defense kind of kept them in there. They never had a quarterback that could make that drive to win the game or make that first
Hmm.
down to put a game away. That's what they're missing, and it's to be seen whether they have a quarterback on the roster that can do it. I mean, we love Shador, but we need to see if he can do it. We need to give him a chance to see if he can do it.
Look, man,
And they need to know
both,
soon. They
both,
need to know soon.
both Watson and Sanders are doing the Birdman hand rub right now because they got they got Kenshawn Judkins, Jerry Judy, Concepcion, Denzel Boston, Harold Fanning. I'm like, look, they have some tools who are on the starting crew. that it could be some fun football. Basically, that's what I'm getting ready to say. As long as they don't blow up the whole quarterback thing and just have and maybe just come this little toxic thing, they can have some really fun football. I think with those receivers and the running back.
What's their O line situation? Anybody know?
Well, they brought in Spencer
Five new
Samuel on the
starters.
left,
Five
huh?
new
Five new
starters.
starters.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But that
Give
could
me
be
the
a good
clipboard,
thing.
coach. Give me the clipboard, coach.
Five new starters.
That could be a
That's what I'm
good
saying.
thing, depending on where their head is.
Don't get my
So
guy
that's
Shador
the only
killed
reason
out there.
Deshaun Watson gets any pass from me is that. But it's going to be important to see how he guides them. This will, if they want to play for him, I think that's what's going to be. We put all money aside that those guys want to play for him, and then the wideout room just seems so crowded, and everybody on that team, like a good portion, is under 25 years old. 23
Yeah.
rookies in camp. That's a lot of rookies in camp.
That is a lot.
Yeah.
But hey, bro,
Well,
here's the thing. What Shador, Sanders, Dylan Gabriel, that whole debacle showed us is that people play differently depending on who that leader is. They played totally differently when Shador Sanders came in.
they did.
There was a different
They
energy
did.
across the entire squad.
That's
So
true.
I don't know, and I will give Cleveland that for the most part. I think they're doing a good job of keeping the drama, whatever is happening, keeping it contained, and it's not leaking like some of us would hope it would.
Hmm.
Oh, my gut is saying that a lot of those players probably still want Shador. Because think about how did the Cleveland season end last year?
Yeah, it was excitement. They didn't,
Yes.
obviously weren't winning a lot of games, but it was exciting because Shador was out there. There was hope. You would watch their games and there would be hope.
Yep.
But I'm going to
Yep.
tell you this, man. I'm going to tell you this. I don't know why I think this, and I honestly don't know what's wrong with him. I still think Deshaun Watson can play football. I don't have any idea what I feel like maybe there's a mental block. I, I don't know. Maybe I'm dead wrong about this guy, but
Well,
it'll
I
be
hope
one
he
of
does because
the
you never want to see somebody go out like that. You know what I
it,
mean? To
it
be
would be one of
riding
the
so
biggest
high.
falls off a cliff that I think we've ever seen. Because he didn't
Yeah,
get
well, you don't
hurt.
want to see that. You don't wish that badness on anybody. So there's
No,
a part of
no.
me hope he's actually comes back to the Deshaun Watson that he was. But then unless and Shador shoot, man, you get private tutoring from the GOAT. He waited how many years? He had to wait for
Yeah,
Bledsoe to drop before he got his time, but he
yeah.
stayed ready. So just stay ready.
I think they both. I think that the players will play for both of them, but I think definitely there's different energy around Shador. I agree.
Yeah, for
In
sure.
the fan energy, the
Agreed.
fan base, that stadium was electric when Shador came in those games. If you watch those
It
Yeah,
games,
was.
I mean, think about it.
It,
yeah.
We were watching Cleveland Browns games for what? They weren't playing our teams.
right.
Right.
Just to see him.
Exactly. So, well,
Yeah,
good
even
luck,
if he had a bad
Cleveland.
game, we never knew.
Good luck, Cleveland. See you at the top of the draft in our draft analysis next year. We'll round out the AFC North with the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Still,
Aaron.
I have one word for Pittsburgh:
uh-oh.
opportunity, and I'm
Yeah,
gonna throw
that's a
it out
good
to
one.
you guys.
Okay, you got to explain that.
I think they have a golden opportunity to win this division. Crazy enough to say, comma again, because it doesn't seem like they won it last year. Um, I don't trust Baltimore. I'm not saying they can't win the division. There's three teams in this division that could probably win it. But I think the one I feel like I know who Pittsburgh is, man. As weird as that is to say. Out of those three teams, I think they have an identity. And I think the rekindled marriage between McCarthy and Rodgers, I think it's going to make a difference this year.
Hmm.
I think it's going to make a because people don't realize Aaron Rodgers had a pretty good year last year. Pittsburgh just did not have a lot of weapons, but he had a pretty good year. And one of his hallmarks throughout his career is he does not turn the ball over a lot, and he didn't last year. And if he doesn't do it again this year, they'll be right there. And McCarthy's
I
perfect for what the Steelers want to do. They're perfect for what the
Yeah,
Steelers want to do. They want to run the
yeah, he
ball and
is.
pound you and be aggressive. And
Hmm.
if you have a quarterback who's not going to turn it over, that's a great recipe to win some games if your defense is good enough. Now, J.J. Watt
The,
being older, X
yeah,
factor.
yeah. That's big. The question is going to be though with McCarthy. Here's the great part about. I think we talked a little earlier in the questions about what he brings. 24 years NFL experience as a coach. Several with Green Bay and some in Dallas in those tough situations, and dealing with every type of quarterback there is or was. That's where he has them. And working of course in a larger, smaller markets. You know, uh, Kind of like Pittsburgh. Even though you got Dallas out there that has the national thing going, and coming from Green Bay and looking what the local expectations are. Uh, I think that he has also the ability to also do things on a quicker tempo as well. I think that'll be a little different as well in the Steelers camp. Can Aaron Rodgers, can he do things in the up tempo way? Like you said, he's going to do it the old school way, but there's also an up tempo way that McCarthy wanted to try. I know with Dallas, he started, but I don't know if he ever got to coach. I think the biggest thing with McCarthy is will they let him coach? Now this will be different. That he's has a different expectation of things, how he deals with these veterans. I say opportunity is big also, and I say some of the different that quarterback room for the Steelers is crowded. How long does he keep a quarterback room like that? Who's he going to end up keeping? I don't
Yeah,
know if he's
Mason
going to.
Randolph, Will Howard,
Yeah,
Drew
and you got
Alar. I'm like, that is kind of
right,
crowded.
right. So
Yeah, I
I
think it's
I
Alar, Howard, and Rodgers. It's Alar and Howard. Go ahead, big dude.
No, that's what
Yeah,
I
I
was
don't
going
think
to ask you.
Mason Rudolph is
That was
ever
going to be
in.
my question. Yeah, that was going to be my question about who is it that he keeps. So, and I think you got to like a Lar bringing up the rear. I don't know what else he's going to do, but I think the Steelers, of course, you got. And we talked about him all during the draft part. Another thing you guys did well, we all talked about Maxi Hanature, a young tackle. The Steelers always make a tackle out of somebody, all the way back from
They got two good ones
Villanueva.
coming. Dunker too.
Yeah. They have a couple of good ones coming in. They always make those guys ready, and they make them ready young, and they make them believe that they belong there. So I think that's what gives the franchise, I think, the edge. I think the question is going to be, again, those road games against Cleveland, and those road games against the Ravens, they're going to be some tough games, even though Cleveland's not going to have the same we don't know what's going to happen with them. That's what's strange about them. But again, we know the divisional games won't be any different. But I think for the Steelers, getting out the gate is going to be important. And the defense has never been probably, I would say, also in the last 10 years, that defense that we've seen for the Steelers that has been the roughy toughy type defense as well. Can they get back to that? I mean, Cam Hayward is back for another year, which I think is great. But how are they building around him? And then of course you got um, you got their corners. You got some great folks that get to the football all the time. That's what I like about the Steelers. I just think that he has at 62, 63 years old, McCarthy, again, that's the question. How does he relate generationally? But it really is going to be about whether they have the confidence in him. And then the fan base, have they adopted McCarthy? And what is it going to take for him to come in and he's made some of the changes that he's made. But let's find out if he can create the enthusiasm and the winning culture that the Steelers
He
need to
Their
he's a
defensive
He's a
coordinator is
Pittsburgh
what is
guy.
it? Graham is it first? Yeah, and that's the defensive coordinator's name, last name.
I don't remember,
um,
but McCarthy's
Oh,
a
but I've
Pittsburgh
looked at him.
guy.
He was in Vegas, right?
I don't know who their DC
Oh,
is.
okay. You just like Well, long
No, I don't
story
know who it
short,
is,
he
so I'm
was
not
in
going to
Vegas.
answer you.
Yeah, he was in Vegas, and I mean, he just had mid defenses. So I just don't think that their defense, the way it's shaping up, is going to be anything special. It's not going to be horrible, but I do know one thing. No, the fluke that happened against Baltimore is probably not going to happen again. Not this
No,
season.
no. Their defense got a little old too. That's one of the things that happened. But
yeah,
offensively, though, don't sleep on them offensively. Don't forget they pick up Michael Pittman in free agency. Okay, they got
that's
Jamie
right.
Bernard, the sleeper wide receiver from Bama, and they got Rico Dowdle in the backfield now. That's a
Yeah,
pretty formidable offense. Now, don't forget DK Metcalf is your number one receiver. So now,
right.
pick your poison on the wide receivers. You can go Pittman and Metcalf could be the number one in any given game.
Yep.
So this is probably the best core offensively that Aaron Rodgers has had in this second stage of his career. And Mike McCarthy's not a terrible coach. I mean, he did some stuff in Dallas. We make fun of them, but he had some success there. He had some big disappointments, but he had some success there. You know, they had
Yep.
a really bad playoff loss when Green Bay came into town. That was kind of the year that people expected Dallas to do something. But he's had them there. And that team that we're seeing now, he built, that offense that we see, he built that.
Here's the
So
problem. If you are the Dallas head coach, you're coaching, you're essentially general manager, but you got to deal with Jerry Jones, and that
exactly.
probably makes your life hell. And I don't.
And
I
that's one of
think
the
there's
first
only
things Big
one
Dude
coach who can
said.
deal with him, huh?
And that's one of the first things Big Dude said. Are they going to allow him to coach? And he should be allowed to coach in Pittsburgh.
Yep.
Dallas, not so
Yep.
much.
Yep. I think only Jimmy Johnson was able to handle Jerry Jones, but I think everybody else after that, no, not so much.
And we saw how that happened. You know how it ended. It's like, yeah, he
Yeah.
handled it, and Jerry's like, forget this. You're fired. Cold
Yep.
blooded,
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
Like, dude, after I brought you championship, you gonna fire me?
Yep.
Anyway,
He wanted to shine. He too many of these owners want to shine. Get out of the way. I
exactly.
shouldn't know. I shouldn't. Your owner shouldn't be a celebrity.
No.
Yeah, be like,
You know what
like
I'm saying?
a lot of these owners, I have no clue who the heck they are, and that's how it should be.
Well,
That's
one
how it
one of the
should
worst
be.
pickups was Barry Switzer getting picked up by Dallas. That was I just couldn't believe that one. But
Yeah.
that's a
Well,
whole
that
nother
told you
show.
everything you need to
Yeah,
know
yeah.
about Jerry Jones.
Let's not turn it into a Dallas show for sure. They'll have their
Okay, we'll
turn
Yeah.
save it.
in a couple weeks.
Touche.
But
Um,
you're right, Patrick Graham. That's the defensive coordinator.
Yeah,
Absolutely
he was
right
just
from
mid,
Vegas.
man. So I'm like, I just don't. The For the division, Pittsburgh is gonna be fine.
Yeah, they're gonna be a
okay,
good
For
football
the
team.
division,
great segue into who are the contenders in this division.
Hmm. Uh, I would say
I say
uh,
Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh and the Ravens
Yeah.
for sure. I think Cincinnati is a distant third.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
I got all three of those teams. I got all three of those teams as contending. Cleveland, like I said, see at the top of the draft.
Mhm. I think Cleveland, again, they'll be good enough to ruin people's seasons this year. I think that they'll feel better about who they are, but I see it as a two-team thing, across the state lines.
Well, even for them,
I
as
like
long as
that.
the ownership and they get out of Monken's way, they actually might be better than what we think. We'll definitely see, right?
We will. We will. All right. Well, that'll do it for the beginning of our Division Chase series. Again, we wrapped up the AFC East, AFC North. Next episode, we'll finish up the AFC with the South and the West, and we will continue on through until we finish all the divisions. And then you love when we pick stuff because you love to pick it apart. We will give you our predictions for how we think each of these divisions will finish, who will win, and we'll even get into who we think the playoff teams will be. So until next time, see ya later.